We spoke many times that when a holiday comes, it's a auspicious time. A holiday in Hebrew is called Chag. Chag means in Hebrew a holiday, but really Chag comes from the word in Hebrew lachug, to go around in circles. When something goes around in circle, then it starts in one point and again does a circle around and comes back to the same point. Really what we're celebrating on Pesach, ask now any individual why we're celebrating Pesach, they'll tell you because we left Mitzrayim. But really what we're celebrating on Pesach is that on that day, 3,400 years ago, a very special godly light came down to the world and permeated the power for every individual, for the rest of the generations, to go out of their Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is a country south of Israel, but Mitzrayim is really a state of mind. It's a state of limitation where I'm stuck in some type of a state that puts me in some type of a limitation. This is what it's called Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim comes from the word in Hebrew Meitzar, and Meitzar is a limit. The reality is that each and every one of us is dealing with some type of a limitation. Each and every one of us is dealing with some type of a limitation. Some things are severe limitations and some things are less severe. An example of a limitation, a person can be addicted to something. In our generation, everybody's addicted to things. Some person, their addiction is severe. They get addicted to drugs or alcohol or gambling or whatever it is. And some things, the addiction is not so severe. And people are addicted to cigarettes and food and their phone and Facebook, and everybody's addicted to something at some point. A person that is not addicted to anything, this is called a free person. And a person that has something physical limiting him, this is called a slave. And basically we're all slaves. You just need to define and to figure out what are you a slave to. And like I said, some people, their slavery is something very, very severe. Unfortunately, in our generation, it's very common. People are addicted to severe things, to alcohol and drugs and many other things. This is a very, very severe state. But an average individual, each and every one of us, is also addicted to things. I mean, I know people don't like using the word addicting, but we are. If you don't realize that you are addicted to things, then you are already in a much worse state of a limitation. It's called a state of denial. But sometimes people play a certain game on their phone 3 hours, 4 hours every day. This is an addiction. I mean, if you can't get away from your phone, something's wrong here. Now, some of the things are very, very small. Like one can say, okay, it's a game. What's the big deal? It's harmful. But it is severe because it gets you away from your focus. It gets you away from what you're supposed to do. And more than that, it's controlling you. Now, when you're looking at the holiday of Pesach, it has a few different names. We call it Chag Aviv, Chag Pesach, Chag Matzot, the holiday of Matzot, the holiday of the spring. But really, Chag Pesach, the holiday of Pesach, is called Chag HaCherut, the holiday of freedom. And when you're really thinking of the idea of Pesach, then we went out of Mitzrayim. We were slaves. We went out of Mitzrayim, out of Egypt, and then we went in the desert, and then we got the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu, when he came down from the mountain, he brought down with him freedom. That's what he brought. That's one of the many reasons why the Ten Commandments are engraved on the tablets. Because to engrave in Hebrew is lachrot, or engraved is charut. And charut and cheirut is the same letters. You just pronounce it different. Charut is engraved, and cherut is freedom. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to bring down from the mountain cherut, to bring us freedom. Now, any person that is not free is called a slave. And that's why we have to constantly remember the leaving of Egypt. If you notice that in a lot of our prayers, we we mention Yetziat Mitzrayim, Zecher Yetziat Mitzrayim, Zecher Yetziat Mitzrayim. We do Kiddush on Shabbat, Zecher Yetziat Mitzrayim. What's going to do with this? This is Shabbat. You have to remember Mitzrayim. You put tefillin on for the fact that we left Mitzrayim. Constantly we're reminding us that we left Mitzrayim. Now, if you want to get stuck on the historical parts, like they teach us when we're in school that we were slaves and we went out of Mitzrayim, that's one thing. But our sages teach us, "B'chol dor v'dor chayav adam lirot atzmo kilu yatsa miMitzrayim." Every generation, a person has to see himself like as if he left Egypt. Now, what does that mean? Was every day I have to remember that my forefathers were slaves? I have to every day remember that I am stuck in Mitzrayim. And as long as I am controlled by the limitations of the physical world, then I am a slave. And the result, the actual result that I will experience from the fact that I am a slave, that I'm not going to be happy. And I'm going to be depressed, and I'm going to be sad, and I'm going to be not sleeping well, not eating well. I'm not going to be happy. Now, how many people can really look in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm very, very happy with my life? On the external part, maybe you can look in the mirror, or maybe not. You're looking around people, say, yeah, I'm fine, I'm happy. But late at night, when you're lying in bed and the cover is on your head, and your thoughts are running in your mind, all sorts of worries. How am I going to make money? How am I going to pay my rent? Am I ever going to meet my other half? How can I get over my sickness? Whatever it is. If I have all these thoughts in my mind constantly, then I'm very unhappy. And most people are unhappy. And on the external parts, people pretend like they're happy. So they're constantly looking to enjoy little pleasures in this world, so I can feel 2 minutes here that I'm happy and 3 minutes here that I'm happy. So I'll spoil myself with a cookie and a cake and a piece of chocolate, and hear a movie and hear something, and I'll put some music and dance and lose my focus on the world use all these distractions, which is all fine. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that I want to experience real happiness. I want to be 100% free. And that's what we want to talk about today. Because you can be walking around in the streets and you're free to do whatever you want. That's not freedom. That's just being wild. But doesn't mean freedom. Real freedom is that I'm not limited to anything. Nothing limits me, nothing controls me, and I'm in constant state of 100% I'm happy. I'm satisfied. Doesn't matter if I have bills, I don't have bills, I have debts, I don't have debts. Doesn't matter. I'm constantly happy. Constantly I'm carrying simcha balev, 100% happiness. Now, when I say that Moshe Rabbeinu brought down the Torah from the Shamayim, then we say that Moshe brought down freedom. One can argue and say, what are you talking about? The Torah is freedom? What's freedom about here? Wake up at 5 in the morning, pray. Every time you put something in your mouth, you have to say a blessing. Everything that I want to do, I'm limited. Don't eat this, don't eat that. Don't do this, don't do this. Don't do that, don't do this. That's not freedom. I want on Shabbat to go out. No, you can't drive on Shabbat. I want to do this, you can't watch a movie. Why are you telling me the Torah is freedom? The Torah seems the opposite of freedom. I just now had whatever it is, a cup of coffee. I want to eat now something that is meat. No, you gotta wait. You can't eat them together. So all these list of limitations, this is not freedom. That's what one can argue. But really, the more boundaries you have, the more you're following a certain pattern, which is, in our case, we're talking about the Torah, that's how you are the most free. When you are out of control and you do whatever you want, that's not freedom. That's just going wild. Most people are not free. Most people are in deep, deep slavery to society. If you dress a certain way because everybody in your community dresses the same way, you are a slave. You are in a very deep place of slavery because you're not free. The society is telling you what to dress, how to wear, what to do, when to do. Most people are robots. Most people are not, they don't have a mind of their own. They follow a certain in Hebrew it's called muskamot. If I'm in this community, everybody's dressed the same way. Everybody's wearing the same hat. Everybody's standing the same way. And if you're not, what's going on? Why is he different? And this is not only in the observant world. Now, even in the regular world. Everybody has the same haircut. Everybody has the same style. A new fashion comes out, everybody has to wear that. And everybody wants to wear it because they want to fit in. So, and this is just like on the tip of the iceberg, that most people are not free because they're bowing, so to say. They are hostage of society. And whatever the society says, then they want to fit. And if I don't feel that I fit my community or my society, then I feel weird. And very few people, they're like, no, I'll do whatever I want. I'm going to dress however I want. My community is not going to tell me how to dress. My community is not going to tell me I'm going to look like a duck. You go in many places, especially in the observant community, it's like everybody's the same. It's like, where's my individuality? Why do I have to be like a soldier here? So this is one part out of the general idea that most people are not free. And I want to know how I become free. I want to be free. When I became observant, which is almost 18 years ago, and the whole thing happened to me, how I became free, happened on Pesach. 18 years ago, I had a near-death experience on Pesach. That's when it happened. That's when I went out of my physical slavery into spiritual freedom. And one of the first things that I started applying, I didn't become like this right away. It took me 3 years just to start putting a yarmulke on my head, because I didn't believe that the yarmulke is going to represent my change. And one of the first things that I started working on is the fact that I don't want to be slave to anything. I used to smoke, I used to drink, I used to everything. Everything that you can be hooked on something in this world, I was on it. And I got to a point that I was like, I don't want to be, so to say, addicted to anything. I quit smoking, I quit everything. I didn't want anything in this world to control me. If you can go 3-4 days without needing your cup of coffee or your phone or whatever it is, then you're practicing your freedom. And if you can't move out of your house without your phone, there's a certain problem here. If you can't survive with something in this world for more than a couple of days, that's called slavery. Now, when you are stuck in this mud, you don't see that. When you're stuck in the klipa, that's where we're going to start talking about it. There's this negative force that is controlling you. You don't see where you are. You need somebody to come and pull you out, or to tell you how bad the situation is. But the point is that, practically saying, if I'm in that level of slavery, I'm going to continue calling it slavery, the result is very simple, that I'm not free. And that will result that I'm not really happy. So I'm going to run after physical pleasures, because something is missing in my life. So I'm going to get physical pleasures from food and physical pleasures from cars and clothes or whatever it is, just to constantly stimulate some type of pleasure in my system, because if not, I will become depressed. And I'm not chas v'shalom pointing a finger or trying to put somebody in the wrong spot or to blame anybody for anything, but you know that 90% of the world are depressed, severely sad and depressed and empty, that the point is that half the world is on medications. Not that the medications help. This is another big fraud of the world. And again, chas v'shalom, don't think for 1 second I'm trying to put somebody down or to make a fun of somebody. I'm just making an observation. The reality is most people are very, very not connected to their neshama. And the result is severe sadness. Now, some people are in such a bad state that it's in denial. No, I'm fine. Yeah, you're fine, but it takes you 3 hours to fall asleep. Why? Because your mind, all day long. And many other things and many other symptoms. But we want to talk about, how do I go out of this state of slavery? So first I have to recognize if I'm a slave or not. And if I don't recognize, then that's called denial. Now, we're going to celebrate the holiday of freedom very soon. It's called the holiday of Pesach. This is the time when Moshe Rabbeinu brought into this world the ability to be a free person. That's where it all starts. This is the key to my freedom. Now, there are two levels of how I can be operating. The first level that I will define it as, we'll call it for now, a tzaddik. Now, we're not talking about a tzaddik, the tzaddik I met. I'm talking about I have the potential to be like a tzaddik. It says very clearly, "V'amech kulam tzaddikim." I have a potential in me. When I'm doing exactly what the Torah tells me, that I'm defined by the Torah, a tzaddik. A tzaddik is a person that controls everything, nothing controls him. But the other level, and there's only two, is a level that is called a slave. And a slave, he doesn't control his will, doesn't control his desire, doesn't control his inclination, has no control. That's a slave. And how it would come out? With, I can't control food, I can't control any type of pleasure, or all my desires, what we call te'avot, I can't control it. If you can't control yourself, this is your sign that you are in the level of a slave. Now you make an analogy with yourself. Can I really control myself? Now put a plate in front of you full of chocolates. Are you going to just ignore the plates and move on? Or are you just going to start drooling like and start stuffing your mouth with chocolate? So, and this is just one example out of many. You put yourself to the test and you see how much you are in control or not in control. And you want to get to a point that you are 100% in control. And this can be with big things and also with little things. You start with the little things, because to control big things is almost harder. It's almost impossible. I'm talking about big desires. So for example, I used to have a weakness to coffee. I would drink like 10, 15 cups a day coffee. I love coffee. Up until today I love coffee. See? Coffee. But that's my first cup. And it's 10 o'clock at night. I, on purpose, don't give my body coffee till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Look at the coffee. Smell it. I feel like taking a sip. No, in the afternoon. I'm up in the morning at 4:30 in the morning. We have a yeshiva, we learn, everybody's there drinking coffee, and the smell, the aroma. Now control yourself. Don't go and make yourself a cup of coffee. Till the afternoon. Comes 11? No, let's do it at 2. Comes 2? No, let's do it at 4. That you're the master of everything. And if I want to go today without coffee, so there's not going to be coffee. And if I want to go 3 days without coffee, no problem. I'm not addicted to anything. I'm not letting the coffee control me. What, a liquid in a cup is going to control me? No. I control this. And when I control the coffee, that's when I'm able to elevate the godly spark in the coffee. If the coffee is controlling me, and I'm giving you one example out of many, try to not touch your phone for 3 days. Give me your phone for 3 days. I'll give it back to you in 3 days. Let's see how many twitches you start getting without your phone. So I know you're all smiling, but that's the reality. Try to go half a day without your phone. Let's see, we'll do a practice of control here. So the point is that I want to, first of all, recognize my weakness. If I recognize my weaknesses, then I know how to grow and when I can start applying my growth. So my weakness is, if things control me, then there's no you don't have to be embarrassed or to feel bad, or that doesn't mean you're a bad person, but we're defining you right now as a slave. Now a slave, when we're saying, Avadim Ainu b'Mitzrayim, we're going to read in 2 weeks, we were slave to Paro in Mitzrayim. We know what we imagine? People like half naked, blood and scars, and Egyptians with mini skirts, whipping them, and they were carrying like bricks and building pyramids. And you think that's what they used to do in Mitzrayim? No. Mitzrayim was a New York, just that they didn't have iPhones. It's the same thing. They had clubs, they had bars, they had everything that we have here, just that they didn't have iPhones and they didn't have Mercedeses. That's the only difference. But everything was exactly the same. They were slaves. They were slaves to the physical world. Now, if you think for one second we're not slaves to the physical world, and this is another problem in denial. But nevertheless, again, we're not trying now to blame anybody or to put now somebody in a corner. Rather, we want to be educated, and I want to break free. I want to be a free person. Now, when we're saying that a person is a slave, the place of slavery is a spiritual place. Slavery is coming from something spiritual, not from something physical. And this spiritual place of slavery, the Torah calls it Mitzrayim, Egypt. Now Egypt is a country, but we're talking about right now the state of spiritual slavery. Now, we know that when the nation of Israel were in Mitzrayim, they were sunk into 49 gates of impurity. That if chas v'shalom they would fall into the 50th gate of impurity, even Hashem would not be able to take them out of there. This is called 49 Sha'arei Tumah, Memtet Sha'arei Tumah, 49 gates of impurity. Everything has in this world, Shlomo HaMelech says, Ze l'umat ze bara Elokim. Everything in this world has a good side and a negative side, and they're all standing in opposing each other. So we know that everything is fed from a level that is called Sha'ar Hanun, the 50th gate. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but just to kind of explain, if you remember 2 weeks ago, we celebrated Purim. Hopefully you remember a little bit what was said in the Haggadah, but it says that Haman wanted to hang Mordechai, and in the end he was hung. Do you remember how high the pole was that they hung Haman? 50 feet. 50 feet, you know what's 50 feet? That's 4 floors. Why can't you just hang him from the ceiling? Why do you need to hang Haman on the 50th feet? 50 amot. Is because Haman wanted to hang Mordechai on that pole, and he knew that he has to take him up to the highest level of the 50th gate in order to uproot him from his root. So we want to a little bit touch the idea of the 49 gates of impurity that were stuck in Mitzrayim, because if I fall into that level of impurity, then I'm in a danger that I can't even get out of the place of impurity. Sometimes you see people in our generation, you can look at them and say they are stuck in, I don't know where, but at least way down there in these levels of impurity. And I want to be aware how I'm not falling into that level. Now, to understand it a little bit better, going back 5,778 years ago, at the time when the world was created, Adam HaRishon and Chava were placed in Gan Eden, and Gan Eden was a perfect place. Everything was perfect, there was no problems there. What was really perfect there is that Adam HaRishon knew that there's a God. He didn't believe, he wasn't told. He saw it. He saw and he knew that there's a God. But then he sinned, and this reality disappeared. Before Adam and Chava sinned, it says that Adam HaRishon and Chava, they saw God with their own eyes, and they knew that there's a God. Do you know there's a God? You believe there's a God. You don't know. You know when you're hungry. You know when you're tired. You know when you want to eat. That's what you know. But if somebody will come to you, do you know there's a God? Well, I believe. I don't really know. So Adam HaRishon knew that there's a God. That's called Gan Eden. Gan Eden people, when you tell them the word Gan Eden, they're imagining like beautiful tropical trees and like colorful birds, like and waterfalls. And that's not Gan Eden. Gan Eden is a state of knowledge that I see godliness everywhere. Now I don't see godliness, I just see walls. And I see the world. I don't see Elokut, I don't see any godly revelation. When I see godly revelation with my own eyes, this is a state of Gan Eden. Because when I see God, that means everything is perfect. It means there's nothing negative. But the second that Adam HaRishon sinned, what was the result? He got kicked out of Gan Eden. He got an eviction notice. Get out of here. You can't be here anymore. Because you damage right now your level. Now you have to be out of Gan Eden. Now, later on, after the sin, came a few generations. First, it was the generation after that of Noah. After that came many other generations. At some point came the generation of Avraham Avinu. And Avraham Avinu was the first one that started rectifying the world. Bechlal, we know that in the beginning, the Shekhinah, the feminine aspect of the divine, was shining in this world. Then was the first sin of Adam HaRishon, and he kicked the Shekhinah from the earth, from the Aretz to the Rakia, to the first firmament. And then came another sin of Shet, and then came another sin, first came the first sin of Hevel, and then Cain and Hevel, and then came another sin with the generation of the flood and the generation of the tower. And every generation that made a sin, they pushed the Shekhinah one firmament higher. Avraham Avinu was the first one who started bringing it down into the world. Now when Avraham Avinu told Hashem, how would I know that Hashem promised Avraham Avinu that your offspring, your kids will inherit the land of Israel? Then Hashem told him, well, your generations below you are going to go to exile for 400 years. And they're going to be slaves, and they're going to be tortured. And Avraham Avinu is saying, that's your promise? I'm asking you to give me a promise that my offsprings are going to inherit the land of Israel, and you're telling me they're going to be slaves? Hashem told him, yeah. Hashem told him, if a person will work by himself to be glued to Hashem, then it will come in a very easy way. But if chas v'shalom, a person will not toil to be glued to Hashem, then it's going to have to come with hardship. That's the two options. Basically saying in other words, you want to be close to Hashem, it's going to require a lot of hard work. And if you do that, then at some point you will be glued to Hashem. Glued to Hashem meaning to the infinite light. But if you're not going to do it yourself, then Hashem says, no problem. So I'll bring on you hardship. And usually when there's hardship, that's when you look for Hashem. When everything is going perfectly, you don't remember Hashem. But you know what? When there's a little problem or a big problem, and then starting having a knife here, suddenly you start screaming to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So Hashem says, no problem, I'll give you two options. Either you do it by yourself, and you'll get your closeness to me, and if you fail, no problem. I have many ways how to put stress on you that you will start screaming to Hashem. So that's what Hashem told Avraham Avinu. No problem. Just tell that to your kids. I need to understand that I need to work on myself to have some type of a connection to Hashem. It's not going to come by default. The Torah is not about being lazy and not doing anything. The Torah is a lot of hard work. But the result is that I'm attached to my source. Needless to say, that's not the point right now, but needless to say, when I'm attached to my source, then I'm happy, I'm healthy, life is good, everything is working out. Life starts having all sorts of ups and downs when I'm disconnected from my source. Now, the problem is that when I'm not working to get close to Hashem, then I start regressing. I'm going backwards and backwards and backwards till I fall into the depth of the klippah. Klippah, the translation of a klippah is a shell or a husk, something that covers something else. But really, klippah is a negative energy that is created by my actions, and it goes and works against me. So when I get away from my source, that's when I'm starting to take one step, another step backwards and backwards till I fall into the klippah. And at some point, the klippah is controlling me. Now, like I said, there's two ways. That's what Kadosh Baruch Hu told Avraham Avinu. There's my way or the highway. So my way is getting close to Hashem through the Torah, and the highway is you're going to have to go through hardship. And there's a reason from that. Not that Hashem is mean. Just Hashem says, okay, through the hardship that's where you come closer to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now, going back to what we said before with Adam HaRishon sinned. If you remember, what was the sin called? Chet Etz Hadat. The sin of the tree of knowledge. And that can be translated as knowledge, as comprehension. But nevertheless, all the falling down, what's called yeridot, are when the da'at is being damaged. And that, for now, we'll just call it my common sense, my comprehension, my knowledge. When that is damaged, that's when I fall down. This is what happened to Adam HaRishon. When a person lives in the wrong way meaning not the path of the Torah, then he's damaging his da'at. Why? Because it doesn't fit to his neshama. If the Torah tells me to do something or not to do something, because the Torah is the manual of my soul. And the Torah knows what's good for me and what's not good for me. I don't know that. And nobody else in the world knows that. Only the Torah knows what's good for me. Now, if I live the correct way means what the Torah tells me to do, then I have no problem. But when I live not the correct way and I invent things, what does it do? It hurts the level that is called da'at in me because it doesn't fit with my neshama. So my neshama is the one who's suffering from that. Needless to say that later on, physically, I will start suffering from that. Now, once I damage this part in me, then I go into exile. This is called galut. Now we're in a general exile. The entire generation, the entire world is in exile. But when I don't live my life how I'm supposed to live my life, then I move away from my source, and this is called an exile. Like I go to jail, chas v'shalom. What would cause this problem is that my neshama is not connected to its source. When my soul is not connected to its source, this is a state of exile. And again, the result will be that I will have this void in me. And it will come out as sadness, depression, sicknesses, and many other problems, anxiety, fears, worry, whatever it is. I mean, all these negative things, where do you think they're all coming from? You think they're coming from because the fact that you don't have money in your bank account? Or that the landlord is knocking on your door, or whatever it is, or because somebody broke your heart, a boyfriend or girlfriend? Where do you think all these feelings are coming from? They're not coming from the world, they're coming from the soul. And everybody has these problems. Very few people, they can say, no, my life is totally smooth. So again, we want to try to find solutions here. We're not here to point at the weaknesses of people and to chas v'shalom make fun of anybody. Rather, we want to address issues, and I want to know, how can I take care of my issues? So when I don't live my life the right way, meaning I'm not nourishing my neshama will not be connected to its source, because it doesn't fit the neshama, and the neshama will go, so to say, into exile. It goes away from its source. And that's what's going to cause all this. Now, what is this source that my neshama, my soul, needs to be connected to? The term in Kabbalah is called Or Elyon, light that comes from a world above. And we explained many times that a lot of people think that when you say about Hashem, that we call Hashem Or Ein Sof, an infinite light, Hashem is not a light bulb or a beam. Rather, Or, which is the translation of the word light in Hebrew, comes from the word he'ara, is to enlight, is to shine. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu is the source of life. And my connection to this infinite light is through my soul. And if I move it away, then I don't have connection to my source. It's very, very simple. When my soul is not connected to its source, the result is going to be only one thing. It's going to suffer. My soul will suffer. And when my soul suffers, then I go one step down, and another step down, and another step down, because that's the path that I'm leading my soul. And the suffering will affect my body. So some people, it will affect them with a physical sickness. Another person will affect them with sadness, depression, anxiety, fears, worrying, and the list is from here till tomorrow. So the point here is to pinpoint where is my suffering. I don't believe there's one person in the world that's not suffering. Everybody's suffering. I mentioned that in the last couple of days that I'm here, and I'm almost, every lecture I mention that. Baruch Hashem, with a very large exposure online, then my system, so to say, gets thousands and thousands of messages every day. Whether it's coming from email or social networks or WhatsApp or whatever, all this junk, thousands of messages. Sometimes people tell me, I emailed you. I don't even check emails. If you ever think that you email me, you don't email me. I have a crew of a staff that's going through emails, that's going through messages. So sometimes people say, I emailed you 3 days ago, you didn't answer. 3 days ago? You might wait 3 months before you get an answer. But nevertheless, thousands of messages are coming into our system every day. Thousands. You're talking here of tens of thousands a month. And I never once got one message of somebody telling me, I wanted to tell you that everything's great. Everybody complains. I mean, I have to invest in a tissue factory just to have the girls that are reading the emails sobbing from all the stories that people are writing in emails. I never heard one person coming and telling me, Rabbi, I want to meet you. Why do you want to meet me? Just to inform you that everything is going great. We announced now, before I came to this trip, if anybody wants to book a private audience, to email this email. We got like 5,000 emails. I need to see the rabbi urgently. My life is falling apart. Urgently, I need to see him. Anyone that their life is not falling apart? So unfortunately, everybody in our generation is suffering. And some of the suffering is so severe you can't even imagine. You think that you have problems. Wait till you hear other people's problems. Everybody has problems, to a point that you don't even imagine what people are going through. Sometimes my wife, she doesn't understand. I dedicate about 3 to 5 hours every day for phone calls and meetings just to talk to people. Sometimes I'm on the phone and I'm listening and I put it on speaker just because, it's already barbecuing my head. And my wife sometimes passes next and she's like, how do you listen all day long to this stuff? All day long, you just hear all these stories and disasters. So everybody in the world is suffering. Don't think it's only you. But where do you think the suffering is coming from? It's only coming from one place, that the soul is not connected to its source. And when the soul is not connected to its source, it will affect the source to suffer. And if the soul suffers, you will suffer. And it will come in 1,000,001 ways. It's not that it's just coming in that department. It will come in many different ways. 90% of your sicknesses, should all be always healthy. But any person that has a sickness, where do you think it's coming from? The sickness is coming only from the soul. I'm not talking about a running nose. I'm talking about a disease or any type of a problem, a physical problem, is only coming from the soul. With that said, how does this whole happening? How does this happen that I get disconnected from my source? This is only happening from one thing that is, of course, branched out to many things. It's coming from one part. And this is that a person lives a life of a lie. And most people, their life that they lead is a life of a lie. We call it in Hebrew, chayei sheker. It's all sheker. It's all a lie. It's all around lies. It's not around truth. That's the sad reality, that most people, their life is based on lies. And when it means based on lies, is that either with how I eat or what I do, either lies, actual lies from coming out of my mouth, but most people, their life is a life of a shekel. And that's what causes me to be separated from my source. Very few people are like sharp like an arrow, not even a thought that is distorted from the truth. And just put yourself to the test. The reality is that we lie to everybody around us all day long. And then we lie to Hashem, like as if He doesn't know. And worst of all that, we lie to ourselves. But our existence is reality. A reality of a lie. You go now to a supermarket, that can drive me nuts. You will pull a bottle out of the shelf and this is water. But imagine now this is now juice. It will tell you all natural. No, it's not. If it's all natural, why is it in a bottle? No preservatives. Yeah, it's sitting on a shelf for 3 months and there's no preservatives in there. So everything around it, this is just one department out of many. You go to in the food, no sugar added. Yeah, you're right, there's no sugar there. It's just full of junk and chemicals that will make it sweet. And this is lie. And I will buy Diet Coke and be like, this is going to make me now thin. Because it says Diet Coke. That's a life of a lie. Not only is it not going to make you thin, it's going to make you sick. And people buy that. Millions of people are drinking Diet Coke every day and thinking that I'm drinking Diet Coke, I'm going to be thin now. You're drinking Diet Coke for 15 years, didn't lose a gram. Where's the diet here? So this is one example out of many how everything is a lie. And the point is that people don't like to be called liars, but the reality is that most people are liars. This world is called the world of lie, Alma de Shikra. The world above is called the world of truth, the Olam HaEmet. And here is the world of lie. Everything is distorted here, everything is fake, everything is a lie, everything is not the truth. Now people find it kind of comfortable to live a life of a lie because I don't want to deal right now with the truth. I don't want to be honest with you right now. And the point is that if you have to take something out of tonight, B'ezrat Hashem will take a lot out of tonight, is how important it is to be a person of truth, that everything in my existence is truth. We just read a few weeks ago in the Torah, the parasha is called Yitro. Moshe Rabbeinu comes out of Mitzrayim, starts ruling the nation, Comes his father-in-law, looks what's going on here, and tells him, what are you doing? You are like a one-man show. You're never going to be able to do that. And Moshe Rabbeinu tells him, but I have to help all these people. And Yitro tells him, but you're only one person. There's 3 million people here. How are you going to answer 3 million questions? Get yourself like a hierarchy of appoint judges and people and 10,000 and ministers of 10,000 and 1,000 and 100 and so forth. Moshe Rabbeinu says, who am I going to appoint? So Yitro says, what? You can't find people here. Moshe says, yeah, but I need people of truth, Anshei Emet. And Moshe Rabbeinu himself says, I will never find them. What am I going to find? 3? 4? How many men of truth am I going to find? Even Moshe Rabbeinu then knew the problem. He's like, I will never find real, straight, honest people. Now, most of this world is ruled and controlled by liars, manipulating liars. And we believe that, and we fall for all that. And like I gave you one example just with the nutrition. 90% of what you find in a supermarket is not food. And you believe that. You believe that it's food. It's not. It's chemicals, it's GMO, genetically modified food, it's food coloring, it's fake, it's all fake, it's not real food. And people believe, billions of people are eating junk all day long. And that's one thing. Look at the media that you're looking at, and the advertisements and social media and all this. It's all fake. Somebody's behind it. A power of evil is controlling behind it, controlling everybody's minds. This is a life of a lie, and very few people are straight like an arrow. There's no lies coming out of them. And this is, I'm not talking just the entire world. I'm specifically also talking in the world of the Torah. 90% of what you see in front of you is not really real. It's fake. It's fake. A lot of power here, a lot of politics and money and ego and arrogance, and it's very hard to find the truth in this world. It's very, very hard to see the truth. But we'll ignore for now the sheker of the world. I want to concentrate on my life. I want my life to be emet, 100% emet. I shared this so many times, but since I'm so cautious and so to say passionate about this, I'm going to share it for the 100th time. That about 6 or 7 years ago, one time it was Yom Kippur. I was the whole night in the shul, the whole day, the whole night. I come home after Yom Kippur. I didn't see my wife and kids for 25 hours. We put the kids to sleep. My wife and me make a cup of tea. We're drinking, we're talking, and I tell her, do you have a New Year's resolution? We don't call it a resolution, rather a hachlata. She's like, yeah, I decided to do this, I decided to do that. She tells me, what about you? You have a hachlata for this year? I told her, yeah, I decided to stop lying. She's like, what? You don't lie? I said, oh, I lie. I lie all the time. I lie to you, I lie to you, I lie to you, I lie to everybody. And worse, I lie to Hashem all the time. And worse, I lie to myself all the time. And I decided to put an end to this. I'm never going to lie again. I went and bought a little notebook, cost me $1. Every time that I said a lie, I wrote the lie and the hour. Came the end of the day to say Kriyat Shema L'Amita, and I would open this notebook and find a full page full of lies. 20, 30, 40, 50 lies and nonsense. Nonsense. I was shocked. It disgusted me that I can even come and say a word that is not accurate. And we don't even notice how many times you're on the way to a meeting. Somebody calls you, the person calls you, where are you? You're looking at the GPS, GPS tells you you're there in 20 minutes. I'm there in 5 minutes. No, you're not, you liar. You're there in 20 minutes. What do you think, that the 20 minutes the person is just going to get some type of amnesia and he's not going to notice the 20 minutes passed? So what are you delaying the blow for 20 minutes? Just say right from the start. I'm sorry, I left late. I'm stuck in traffic, whatever it is. But people think that the person on the other side is ignorant and he's going to get sucked into some type of a universe where time doesn't exist. And when you're going to come half a year, an hour later, the person's going to go, oh, you made it real fast. And this is just one example out of many. Just say, I'm sorry, I'm going to be there. The GPS tells I'm there in 20 minutes. 20 minutes? You're going to be late? I'm sorry. I left late. So I couldn't stand the fact that I have even a thought that is not honest. And a word, to say a lie, to lie to somebody. Now if I'm able to lie to you, I'm able to lie to Hashem. Like as if He doesn't know. And then worse of all, I lie to myself all day long. And I give myself excuses. And then I'm living a life of a lie. And we don't even realize it's one of the most severest sins to lie. Hashem cannot stand liars. Do almost anything you want, Hashem will somehow tolerate it. A lie Hashem cannot tolerate. Because Hashem says, this is the reality that I existed, and you are manipulating and distorting the reality that I existed. How dare you do that? So when we live a life of a lie, then I'm getting disconnected from my source. Now what happens? Everything that I do physically, there's a spiritual reaction. The teachings of Kabbalah explains that I will do any action, good or bad, I will pull on me a certain energy. This is called in the Kabbalistic term, limshoch ha'ara, is that I pull some type of energy or enlightenment on me. If I do something positive, then what I pull on me is positive. If I do something negative, then what I pull on me will be negative. That's very simple. That's how it works. Now, if I do something that is the opposite of good, then what type of energy am I pulling on myself? Very negative energy. This is called in the Kabbalistic term, tum'ah, impurity. Sometimes you come to a person and you tell the person, you are impure. How dare you call me impure? You know, a lot of ladies, they find it very, very touchy and sensitive when you tell them, after your cycle, you have to go to the mikveh. Why? Because you're impure. How dare you call me impure? Yeah, but you just had your cycle, and it causes you impurity. You have to go to the mikveh. And many ladies, if you don't explain the right way, then they get offended. How dare you call me impure? I took a shower 3 times today. But it has nothing to do with the shower. It has to do with a state of impurity. Now, impurity, tum'ah, is when I pull on myself light that is coming from the wrong place. It's not positive things, it's negative things. And this is called tum'ah. We call it the wrong light. I'll do a positive action, I will bring on me positive energy. I will do a negative action, I will bring on me negative energy. This is called impurity. Now, tum'ah, we hear this term a lot. There's many levels of tum'ah. Even when you wake up in the morning, you have impurity on your hands. And some people don't understand this importance that right away you want to wash your hands with water. Don't wait for an hour till you get to the sink or walk around. You just wake up in the morning and there's a very strong impurity on your hands. Because at night your soul leaves the body. All 3 levels of your soul leave your body. The nefesh, ruach, and the neshama. And stays a very little part of the nefesh in the body. Now, the nefesh, which is the lowest part of the soul that goes into the body, the nefesh is the only part of the soul that goes all the way till the fingers and the toes. The neshama comes only way to here. The neshama doesn't go into the hands when it spreads into the body. When the nefesh and the ruach and the neshama comes back to the body in the morning, and it enters the body like you put a leg into a sock, the soul gets dressed into a body and inflates it, so to say. It comes all the way to the hand here. So all the powers of impurity that were next to the body at night, they're concentrated on your hands. And anything you'll touch, you start touching your eyes, your ear, whatever it is, you spread this impurity. So very important to wash my hands right away. This is one type of impurity. There's different types of impurity. It can be impurity from a woman's cycle. It can be impurity of death. This is the worst of all. There's many types of impurity. But impurity can come from a speech, can come from an action, can come from a thought. I can say now a wrong word, and it will bring impurity on me. And this is another thing we don't even notice. We had a lecture yesterday just about the power of words. Most people don't even notice to how they talk. Record yourself once. Put a recording. 24 hours or whatever amount you are up. Record yourself talking, then play it to yourself. You'll be shocked how you talk. You won't even believe how many curses come out of your mouth, how many false language, how much junk is coming out of your mouth. An average person will walk, bump his leg into the table right away, throws a word. What does that word got to do with the fact that you bumped your leg into the corner of the bed? And I'm talking about a not nice word. I'm going to start defining the letters of the word, the A word, the B word, the C word, there's all sorts of words. But why do you throw a word out of your mouth when you get hurt? Say ouch. And people throw like all these words that are totally irrelevant to the situation. And you think it doesn't have any effect on you? you say such a word, you bring on yourself such impurity, and what comes out of our mouth, it's unbelievable what comes out of my mouth. So Tum'ah is going to be brought on me from speaking, from thinking. I can have impure thoughts. I can look now at something. I'm not going to define what. You'll understand by yourself what you want to understand. But I can look now at something and start developing very impure thoughts. And you think it's fine? You think it's not going to affect me in any type of way? Think for 3 seconds something impure. You bringing on yourself so much Tum'ah that you are basically giving all your powers to the other side to have control over you. All you need to do is just open the door. And all needs to put his leg in, and that's it. And this impurity is already in your thoughts. Most people, if you can read their mind, you'll see what's going on there. Hashem Yerachem. If you would be able to develop some type of a device to read people's thoughts, you're going to be shocked what everybody's thinking all day long. You'll be like, oh my gosh, that person's nuts, this person's crazy, this person is... That's if somebody would be able to read your thoughts all day long, I'm sure they're going to be able to, I'm sorry to tell you, you're like on the borderline of insanity. What's going on in your mind all day long. What I want to say to him, what I want to do to her, what I do to this, like, ooh, what's going on in our mind. Somebody today sent me a message, Rabbi, how can I I have also these thoughts in my mind all day long. How do I get rid of them? Tell them, learn Torah. You have to flood your mind with Torah. If you have all these bad thoughts, something's wrong in the system. I mean, you have to be aware of that. So anything that I will do that is negative will bring impurity on me. Speaking, acting, anything. Now, when I do something negative, then I remove from me this godly light that shines above me. It's called a Shekhinah. There's constantly a godly light shining above me, especially if I do a mitzvah. I wake up in the morning and I put tefillin on. Can you imagine what a beam of light is shining above me? But then I'll have a bad thought, or I'll say a false word, a not nice word, or some action that is not so nice. Right away, I push the light away. Say that the whole day long, you're pushing all the light away. That's the problem with many people. They're doing so many mitzvot, but they're giving it over constantly. Constantly they're giving over the Kedusha. Now, we use two terms here that it's important that we understand what they are. One of them is a term that is called Tameh, Tum'ah, impurity, and the other term is called Or. This is the two terms that we hear a lot, especially in the teachings of Kabbalah and Zohar. So Or is a light, but really Or is not a light, what we see from a light bulb. Rather, Or is ta'anug, is pleasure. And we are creatures that desire pleasure all day long. That's how Hashem created us. Hashem created us that constantly we want to look for pleasures. And if I don't get my pleasure from here, I'll try to get it from here or from here, but constantly I need to be stimulated with pleasure. This is what it means, Or. That I have to be constantly pleasured. And this pleasure that I'm talking about is a godly abundance. We call it Shefa Eloki. Abundance that comes from the world above. Now, if I get it in a healthy way, then I don't need to look for false pleasures. If I don't get it the right way, then I'm constantly going to look for these false pleasures in this world. So it will be something small like a bar of chocolate, or a cookie, or a movie, or whatever it is, and then it goes into more severe things. But constantly I'm going to look for pleasures. Another hour sleeping, another new this, another this. But this is my nature. My nature as a human being is to look for pleasures all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. Just it has to come the right way. If I'm not feeding my neshama with the right pleasure, it will go and seek pleasures elsewhere. And then it will be a negative pleasure. But this is the term, what it means, Or Eloki, a godly light, is that I now will sit and learn 3 hours Torah. Most people will tell you, I can't even sit for 3 minutes. You want me to sit for 3 hours? But let's say hypothetically, you sit and learn now Torah for 3 hours. It's not that you're going to be dancing out of shul. I never saw anybody dancing out of the yeshiva. But the inside, you're fulfilled. You're not going to desire now the worldly pleasures. Now that's the sheker that a person says, hey, I'm doing a lot of mitzvot. I don't feel that I'm like on fire here. Sometimes you do. But the reality is that we're not in that level. But the more that I will feed my soul with Kedusha, then I will seek much less physical pleasures. So if I have a lot of desires for forbidden things, then the only way to do it is to lower it down, is just to learn a lot of Torah. Because that's the highest form of light that I can bring into my body with learning Torah. So that's why when a person becomes Baal Tshuva, sits in yeshiva for 12 hours, you're breaking all these te'avot to a point that you controlling it. Because either way you're looking at it, your soul needs to get some type of pleasure. So you have to feed your soul with spiritual pleasure. Now the other term that we used is the term that is called tameh. Tameh is impure. But tameh also comes from the word in Hebrew, atum. And atum is something that is sealed, completely sealed. And the numerical value of the word tameh, tet mem aleph, is the numerical value of 50. If you remember before, we mentioned that there are 50 gates of impurity and 50 gates of purity. Tameh is coming, it's pulling this impurity from the 50th gate of impurity. This is called Sha'ar Hanun, the 50th gate of impurity. Anything that is impure is pulling this tum'ah from over there. And on the other side, on the positive side, all the energy, all the life force that I get is coming from the Sha'ar Hanun, from the 50th gate, but of holiness. I just need to know from where I'm getting my energy. I can get my energy from impurity, and I can get my energy from Kedusha, from holiness. Interestingly, you see that the words in Hebrew have a lot of meaning. The word in Hebrew for sick is choleh. And choleh has a numerical value of 49. Choleh is somebody that is sick. Somebody that is not connected to his Sha'ar Hanun, to the 50th gate, becomes sick. He has a deficiency. You see, the words in Hebrew have a lot of nice meanings. So the person that is not fed from Sha'ar Hanun, from the 50th gate, then he becomes sick, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Now, what happens when a person falls into Tum'ah? Because most people, they fall into Tum'ah. Most people are sucked into this power of impurity. Very few people, you'll go and you'll look at them and say, this person is 100% pure. There's no Tum'ah there. And that's the level that I want to reach to. I don't want to have any type of impurity controlling me. And the reality is that I need to understand that any bad action that I do will pull me into the realm of impurity, of Tum'ah. Now, how does it come into action? The fact that I'm trapped in Tum'ah, into impurity. The desire for me to take and to receive is growing and growing and growing. If you monitor yourself, you see that you constantly want to get more and more. Have you ever sat and ate and said, okay, let me just take 2 bites and I'll leave it alone? No, you take another one, another one, because you're building more. I need more. This is a nature of a person that is stuck in impurity, is constantly to desire more and more and more, in a negative way, of course. This is called ratzon lekabel, the desire to take and to receive all the time. And what do I want? Pleasure. I want to go from one pleasure to another pleasure to another pleasure to another pleasure. Now, the more that I get sunk into Tum'ah, into impurity, the godly light gets pushed away and pushed away and pushed away, and then I'm completely disconnected from holiness. There's nothing holy in my existence. And I can have a yarmulke tzitzit and a beard and a suit, and there's nothing holy in my existence. The fact that I'm wearing a black suit doesn't mean anything. I just need to know how to figure that out. Now, what happens when I'm sunk into that state? And again, especially I'm saying you can have a black suit. It doesn't matter if you're observant or not observant. It has nothing to do with that. And definitely not how you dress. The black suit doesn't mean anything. If I put myself in a place of this impurity, basically what happens is that when I go from one step to another step, and usually how it works, I will continue in the same path that I'm going. That's why our sages say, mitzvah goreret mitzvah, va'avera goreret avera. A mitzvah will cause you to do another mitzvah, and a sin will cause you to do another sin. If I'm in the direction of impurity, it will take me to that direction. To a point that the teachings of Kabbalah explain it that I have an empty vessel with no light. Everything in this world is built with the relationship of a vessel and a light. If you want to look at it in our world, then this is a vessel, this is a cup, and in the cup I'm able to put some water in. And without the cup, where am I going to put the water? Now if I have a cup and no water and I'm thirsty, what is the cup good for me? So everything in this world has the relationship of a vessel and a light. Light is something that is a mashpia, a giving, and a vessel is holding. I can give you now $1 million check. If you don't have a bank account, your check is worthless. The check is a piece of paper. That will be considered the light right now, the giving, I'm giving something. But the bank account is the kli, is the vessel. It has to hold it somehow. What good is $1 million check if you don't have a bank account? So everything in this world has the relationship of a giver and a receiver, an or and a kli. If I'm just constantly wanting to take for myself more and more and more, the result will be a very empty vessel with no light. This will cause something that is called klipa. That's what's going to cause. That the kli will start getting wrapped around with a klipa. A klipa is an energy. And an energy that is negative. The more that I direct it to one space, then my kli is going to grow bigger and bigger, just it's going to be empty, and it's going to be controlled by a klipa. That's why you see that many people in our generation, they're looking for spirituality and all sorts of stuff like that, and they go to all sorts of places, it has nothing to do with Kedusha. So they're building a kli, and there's no light in there. A lot of people in our generation, they do all sorts of types of meditations, that 90% of them are junk. But it's a cheap imitation of the original. I'll give you one example out of many. Many people, when they meditate, they bring these meditations from the Far East, they chant a certain sound. And this sound that they're chanting is one of Hashem's names. The name of Hashem is Aleph Vav Mem. And the chanting, I don't want to say it, but it's Om. And they do long. They're taking Hashem's name, bringing a vessel into the world, but there's no light there. So the result is that a vessel spiritually is being inflated and inflated and inflated, and the vessel is completely empty. So in the moment of the meditation, you feel some type of a high, go outside, 15 minutes later, empty vessel. And the empty vessel will pull on it a klipa, because if it doesn't have a godly light in it, it will pull the complete opposite. So the injection, you get a quick injection, and then the result is emptiness. And the emptiness will affect the person to be sad, depressed, and many other things. But this is just one example out of many. When I'm starting to cover my vessel with a klipa, that it's stopping the light to coming in. Now what's going to happen? I'm going to go to a Torah class, and I'm going to fall asleep. Now, not that the speaker is boring. It's just that my vessel is surrounded with a klipa. So the light doesn't penetrate. You go put tefillin on, nothing. When I come to a Shabbat meal, it's boring. So you don't get anything from the light, because your vessel is covered with a klipa, with an energy. So you're not going to benefit anything. Sometimes you can go to a certain class and you're like that, and sometimes you're like, I don't know, you're praying already for the speaker to get a heart attack or something. Just finish, just shut up already. I gotta go already. So the point is that anything that is going to be covered with a klipa, it will prevent the light from coming in. Take now these windows, cover them now with some drape or some board or something. It's preventing the light from coming in, will be dark. Light doesn't come in, the result is only darkness. Now, what happens when I get myself into that state? Then the light that I'm, so to say, that I need to receive, I need it in a stronger force. The pleasure that I need to pull onto myself has to be stronger. That's why you see that, for example, in the world when people are abusing different substances, then in the beginning they can get high from one pill or one whatever it is, and then they need two, then they need three, then they need four. The capacity, the body gets used to it. So in the beginning a person can get drunk from one shot, after a while he needs a whole bottle to get drunk, because the capacity grows. And you see that in many different things. The more that I bring on myself tum'ah, then the need is for something stronger and stronger and stronger. It doesn't work. That's why you see that in this world, I mean, a lot of people don't like when I say that, but one of the biggest lies in this world is pharmaceutical. And people fall for that. People think that that's the solution to everything. You go to a doctor, he doesn't know what to tell you. Here, take a pill. I never saw one person in this entire planet that questioned the doctor when the doctor told him, take this pill. You tell the doctor, I have this problem. He tells you, take this pill. I never saw anybody says, excuse me, sir, what are you giving me? Did you try it yourself? What's in this pill? Everybody says, oh, the doctor said, because he has a white robe and a stethoscope, yeah, give it to me. You don't even know what's inside. Don't you think it's kind of weird that you believe a man with a white robe and just tells you, here, buy this? I don't know what's inside. I mean, what are you giving me? So, 90% of it is nothing there. It doesn't even do anything. And the problem is that if you look at any type of individual, and again, I know a lot of people find it very offensive when I talked specifically about pharmaceutical, but I'm not saying it to chas v'shalom attack anybody. I'm saying it to bring some awareness to what's going on. You see that people that are dependent on any type of medication, they go with the medication for a month or 2 or 3 or 4, then it's not enough. Bump up the quantity and change for this pill and then change to that pill, and because the capacity grows and grows and grows, and it doesn't fill in the void. It doesn't do anything. And this is just with one thing. It's with everything the same way. The more tum'ah I pull on myself, the more I'm going to need of this tum'ah. And it can be in alcohol and drugs and anything else. Even if something as simple as that I'm addicted to a video game. You start with 20 minutes a day, and then you're playing for it for 5 hours. You can't get off it. So it's constantly like growing and growing and growing. And everything. Some people, they find themselves on Facebook for like 3-4 hours. What do you got to do there? Just go in, post your picture, and go out. Why do you have to be on the screen for 3 hours? Same junk over and over and over. And what's there? Why? Because it's pulling tum'ah on me. And the more tum'ah I pull on me, the more it grows, the more it needs more, the more I have a bigger vessel. So now the void is even bigger, so the pleasure has to be bigger, and then it grows and grows, and that's how I'm going from one stage to another stage to another stage of tum'ah, to a point that I'm sunk into 49 gates of tum'ah. I don't even know how to get out of it. Now, when a person goes from one level to another level to another level, of course, backwards, then the person is more in darkness, more in darkness, and more in darkness. Darkness is not physical darkness, rather in spiritual darkness, saying in other words that I don't see the reality. So I don't see that what I'm doing is wrong. It's totally fine to be on Facebook for 5 hours. If you're on Facebook more than 3 minutes, something's wrong. I'm telling you, there's nothing to be there. Post your pictures, check your messages, and move on. That's darkness that I don't realize. That when I'm like this all day long, something's not normal here. And again, I'm not saying it to chas v'shalom attack anybody, rather to present us a reality. Because if I'm stuck in this darkness, then who's going to get me out of it? Now, the more impurity I'm going to bring on myself, the more I'm going to go backwards and backwards and backwards, and I put myself in the stage of klipa, of darkness. That's why you see that towards the end of the plagues in Mitzrayim was the plague of darkness, and they were so thick that Rashi says that the first 3 days they couldn't see each other, and after the next 3 days they couldn't even move. They were like stuck. They were completely squashed by this darkness. I have to be very careful that I don't fall into this darkness, because most people are stuck in this klipa, in this state of chashicha, of darkness. And that's a severe problem, because what happens is that I do things I don't even notice in what darkness I'm stuck in. And it looks totally normal to me. So you need somebody to come from the outside and tell you, Habibi, you're in deep problem. You're hooked on this or hooked on that, or you're dependent on this or dependent on that. And if your answer is, no, it's totally fine, then that's already a red flag. Now, if you want to, again, define the idea that we said before, that is called Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is a state of exile. What did we do in Mitzrayim? We were slaves. Who were we slaves to? Who was the king of Mitzrayim? Paro. Now, nothing is by chance. Nothing is that happens, it doesn't have a meaning. Paro comes from the word in Hebrew, parua. Parua is completely out of control and wild. Now I see that it's becoming a little bit more of a fashion that the hair is messed up. The hair is like sticking everywhere. And once it was like very combed, very nice. Look at people in the 50s, the hair was combed. Now people, they have like different directions. The hair is going like that. This is called parua. Parua is all over the place. And paro is the manifestation of something that is not settled. Now parua How is it coming into my life? I mean, I don't have my hair all crazy, or my house is not necessarily upside down. Parua means that I want to enjoy right now. Everything is right now. My pleasure, right this second. I can't wait. I can't hold myself for more than a minute. I don't have control of my urges. This is called parua. Parua, that I'm out of control. And most people, they don't have control over themselves. In any type of department, they don't know how to control themselves. Wait a week, wait a day, wait an hour. What's the big deal? This is called parua. Parua comes, the word paro comes from parua. This is the control of Mitzrayim. Now Mitzrayim, the word Mitzrayim comes from the word in Hebrew, tsar. Tsar is narrow. Something that is very, very narrow. The more things are wide, then this is called like a space. Oh, easy to go through. Now here I'm driving in New York. Takes a couple days to get used to driving in New York. You have to be like, you know to go through here, this on this street here. Wow, you have a little bit of a bigger mirror than normal. You shave mirrors in these streets here. Everything is narrow here. Where I live, the streets are wide, there's merchav, big space. Here, every parking spot. I was driving the other day with somebody, I'm looking for a parking spot. He tells me, here, park over here. I told him, here? I can park in here. No, you push here a little bit, Don't worry, you'll get it in. So this is called tsar, something that is very narrow. This is Mitzrayim. Now I want to go out of my Mitzrayim. This is what we're celebrating. We're celebrating the holiday of going out of Mitzrayim. My life is narrow. There's a lot of pressure on me. So I need to go out of my limitation. Now, how do I go out of my Mitzrayim? All this preparation that we're talking about is to basically explain one thing, that I am stuck in Egypt. I am stuck in a state of limitation, in slavery to the physical world, to the spiritual world, and I am a slave, and I'm stuck in Mitzrayim. Now, how do I go out of Mitzrayim? Some people, they're so sunk in, they don't even know how bad the situation is. And some people say, listen, I can't stand my life anymore. I can't stand the fact that I'm hooked on this and hooked on that, and I'm a slave to this, I'm a slave to that. And some people get to the realization, they're like, I don't want to be where I am anymore. So comes the big question, how do I go out of Mitzrayim? Going out of Mitzrayim is happening once a year, and that's happening to us in 2.5 weeks. And that's on Leil Seder. The night of Leil Seder of Pesach is the night that I go out of Mitzrayim. There's not any other nights of the year. That's the night that I can pull out of my own exile. And of course I need to prepare for that. I can't come a minute before Pesach and say, oh, let me buy a nice suit and buy a matzah and I'm going to go to Leil Seder. That doesn't work like that. This is my ticket. And if I miss it this year, I have to wait another year for the next time. That's what happened 3,400 years ago. They had to wait to the moment. Why did it took them a whole year? From the first moment that Moshe Rabbeinu came to Mitzrayim, a whole year it took them to go out of Mitzrayim. Why Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't do just, okay, let's go out, guys? Why the whole show? 10 plagues. Every plague took a whole month. A whole Hollywood production. Just get it over with. There was a system. Had to come in order. Had to come from the first plague to the next plague to the next plague. It had to go in an order. You know how you say order in Hebrew? Seder. Order. So even on the night of Leil Seder, why do we call it Leil Seder? Should have called it Leil HaMatzot, the night of Matzot, or the night of freedom, or whatever. Leil Seder, the night of order. You have to go through the order. And the order is one step after the other, after the other. So even when they left Mitzrayim, they had to go through the order. Now, when I'm stuck in a state of limitation, I'm defined as sick. I know a lot of people don't like hearing the word that are telling you that you're sick, but what is sick? Sick in Hebrew you call chole. Chole comes from the word in Hebrew halal. Halal is a space, is a void. When there's a space in anything, a void, it will cause choli, a sickness. If I'm pulling godly light and energy into my soul, constantly something positive, I will never be sick because there's no halal, there's no space. I have a physical organ, the soul gets dressed into the organ. If the soul can get dressed in the organ because there's a damage there, then there's a space. And the space, which you say in Hebrew halal, causes sickness, which you called chole. Very simple. When I became observant, and they told me that the person that doesn't observe Shabbat is called Mechalel Shabbat. Now, lechalel in Hebrew is to blow a flute. Chalil is a flute, and to lechalel is to blow a flute. And I was like, what kind of a weird definition it is that when you desecrate Shabbat, you called Mechalel Shabbat. What are you, fluing the Shabbat? What kind of a definition is that? Then I figured out that on Shabbat, all the worlds go to a higher level. It's called Aliyat HaOlamot. Everything goes up with the Shabbat. And if Chas v'Shalom, I don't observe the Shabbat, meaning I'm not catching the elevator and going up with the Shabbat, then all the worlds ascend, and then there's a space between the world and the worlds above. Halal. So I am in that space. So I'm called Mechalel Shabbat. I'm in that space. I'm not on the Shabbat, and I'm not underneath. So when a person, Chas v'Shalom, has a void, a spiritual void, a space, this is called halal. The result will be choleh. What's the remedy, or what's the cure? Is medicine, refuah. I have to have refuah. That's why, when people is sick, you take out the Sefer Torah, you do a mesheberach lacholim, and you want to bring refuah to the person, to bring health. Now, there's a story in the Gemara. The Arizal says that all the secrets of the entire refuah of the universe is in one story in the Gemara, in one sentence. There's a story in Masechet Brachot of a certain individual that was sick, very, very sick. Came to him another individual and told him, do you enjoy the hardship? Chavivim alecha yisurim? You like being in suffering? So the person answers to him, lo hem velo scharam, not the suffering and not the reward of the suffering. I don't like that at all. It says the Gemara that one little sentence, Yahiv le yede ve'ukme. He gave him his hand and he brought him up. That's it. The Arizal says this is the whole Torah of medicine. 7 years in medical school, one sentence in the Gemara. Yahiv le yede ve'ukme. He gave him his hand and he raised him up. That's it. I spoke about it many times that Hashem has 72 holy names. Hashem has many different names, but there's also one concept that we call it Ayin Bet Shemot Kedoshim, 72 holy names. And they're just letters. It's not names with a meaning so much. It's not Yud Kei Vav Kei or Elokim or... In the 72 names, there's one name that the letters of this name is Yud Lamed Yud. Specifically Yud Lamed Yud. This is the name of refuah. I spoke about it many times. When a person wants to get a person out of the klipa, I have a class on it online that went on Kabbalah Shabbat on Friday night before we pray Arvit. There's two places where one can find an acronym in the prayer of Yud Lamed Yud, and when you meditate on it, you have the ability to pull a neshama out of the klipa. Specifically, this name is the name of refuah. If you want, you can look online or let you know later where you find the video where I explain it, because on Kabbalah Shabbat, there's two places in Mizmor LeDavid, chapter 29, and another one, chapter 94, that you find two sentences. One of them is Hashem Lamabul Yashav, the acronym of Yud Lamed Yud, and Hashem Leorech Yamim. Again, this Yud Lamed Yud. When a person meditates on somebody who needs refuah, then Ari explains that there has the power for Moshe Rabbeinu to come and pull the neshama out of a klipa. And I heard so many people telling me that after they heard this class, they did it and they saw miracles. And unfortunately, sometimes a soul will be stuck in the klipa and you need to save it. You see also in what the Gemara says, Yahiv leyede ve'yukme is again Yud Lamed Yud. Yud Lamed Yud is the numerical value of 50. Again, this Shar Anun. The entire refuah is coming from the Shar Anun. No medicine, no doctors, no nothing. Any type of healing is only coming from the Kadosh Baruch Hu, specifically from the 50th gate. Now back to the question that we said before, how do you go out of Mitzrayim? Let's say up to now, okay, I convinced you, now you know, okay, you convinced me, I'm stuck in Mitzrayim. I'm stuck in a state of limitation. Now what? How do I go out of my Mitzrayim? How do I go out of my own limitation? So first of all, to make a separation here, first of all, you have to make an analogy if you are in Mitzrayim or not. And you have to be humble. You have to be true to yourself. You can't live a life of a lie. You have to be humble and say, yes, I am in Mitzrayim. I do have a problem. This is my problem, this is my problem, this is my problem. If you not willing to agree or admit, then you are stuck in denial already. That's even worse. But we skipped that already. We already understand. I know what's my limitations. Now, how do I go out of my Mitzrayim? And I have many different Mitzrayims that I want to go out of. So first of all, we said in general, I go out of Mitzrayim on El Seder. That's the night. That's the Black Friday of the spiritual world. I miss that, I will have to wait a whole year. If I'm smart, then I have now 3 weeks to prepare. 3 weeks to prepare myself that I want to go out of my Mitzrayim. And if I hit the jackpot, if I do it right, on that night, on the 15th day of Nisan, I have all the powers of the universe to go out of all of my limitations, even the worst limitations of all. Now, how do I go out of it? Then this coming Shabbat, we're going to be celebrating Rosh Chodesh, the head of the month. But I spoke about it on Sunday in the Sunday lecture, how before we went out of Mitzrayim, we got 2 mitzvot. The mitzvah of sanctifying the month, and the mitzvah of Korban Pesach, of the Pesach sacrifice. The mitzvah of sanctifying the month, when it's talking about Chodesh Nisan, it says that this month is Rosh lekol HaChodeshim, the month, the head of all the months. HaChodesh hazeh lachem yeh Rosh Chodeshim. Now we know that the month of Nisan is the first month. People think that Tishrei is the first month. Make now a survey real quick, ask people what's the first month in the Jewish calendar, and they'll tell you Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah. Tishrei is the 7th month. It says very clear, it's not a hint, it says clear in the Torah that Tishrei is the 7th month. The first month is Nisan. So this is the first month of all the months, the head of all the months. This is where it starts, because a month is signifying the definition that is called time. Time only exists in this world. There's no such thing as time in the world above. When Hashem wanted to create the world, He had to create 2 things, time and space. There's no time in the world above. And the idea of the month and sanctifying the month is a definition of this is time. Now, time is only in this world, the world of Asiyah. In the world above, there's no such a thing as time. And time, when it's in its root, everything has a root to it. Everything that you see in this world, every little thing, even water. Water has a spiritual root. It doesn't have a physical root. Everything that exists in this world is rooted somewhere. So even time has a root in the world above. Now, time where it's rooted in the world above, it's depending on what we call intellect, sechel. Because I have a certain awareness, and in the awareness it's where I acknowledge time. For example, when I dream, I can dream for 3 seconds and the dream will be a whole year. It's a total different awareness. It's a total different realm. Which means that the time is defined by the awareness of my intellect. Technically right now, there's no such a thing as time. Just that we are defined by time in this world, and our intellect, our sechel, our mind is perceiving that there's such an idea as time. But really there's no such a thing as time. A soul is limited by time. This is a very physical thing. But nevertheless, Rosh Chodesh, it's exactly how it sounds. Rosh is a head, Chodesh is a month. Chodesh comes from the word in Hebrew, hitchadshut, renewity. Everything constantly reaches to the point of renewity. Every beginning of the month is the renewity of the entire month. Now what happens on the day of Rosh Chodesh is that everything that is about to happen through the entire month is concentrated into one day. Everything that's going to happen. And the same thing is like this in Rosh Hashanah. Why is Rosh Hashanah called Rosh Hashanah? Should have been called Tchilat Hashanah, the beginning of the year. But it's called the head of the year. Because in the head, everything is included in the head. Which means that on Rosh Hashanah or Rosh Chodesh, everything that is set to happen is included in that day. So on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, everything that is laid out to what's going to happen in this month is included in that day. Now on Rosh Chodesh is a very powerful time. Our sages say that when Mashiach is going to come, Rosh Chodesh will be much more holier than a festival, than a Yom Tov. Rosh Chodesh is such a powerful day that most people, that's the day they don't show up to the minyan. That's the day when they don't do anything. Rosh Chodesh is the most powerful day of the month, that if I concentrate on what's going on that day, I have the ability to bring a shefa, an abundance of chasadim, of kindness, of mercy, into the root of the entire month, and to sweeten all the judgments of the entire month. Everything that I'm about to do in this month is controlled in that day, which means I have 24 hours where I can connect to the root of my neshama and draw into it this unbelievable energy for the rest of the month. This is what happened on Rosh Chodesh. Now, specifically on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, it's the Rosh of all the months. It's the beginning of all the beginnings. Which means is on that day I have 24 hours that I have to be, what they say, on my best behavior. Meaning that I have to pray, and it happens on Shabbat this year. It's a triple power. It's not even a triple power, it's 1,000 times the power. The Ben Ish Chai says that everything you do on Shabbat is 1,000 times more than on a weekday. So just imagine a Rosh Chodesh that falls on Shabbat. 1,000 times the power. Just imagine what it means when you pray on Shabbat of Rosh Chodesh. The power that you bring on you, the energy, this abundance, this shefa that goes into the root of everything and sweetens everything. So it all starts on Rosh Chodesh, that it's the renewity, the time that everything gets renewed. So I have now 4 days to prepare, because Shabbat comes, I have to be on the best behavior. Meaning can't miss a prayer. It falls on Shabbat, I have to do all 4 meals and wash and say Birkat HaMazon, learn Torah. Don't sleep on that day. Sleep for a couple hours. Don't sleep like for 12 hours. This is how you start. You draw all this energy from this month. And you draw it specifically on that day. Now, specifically on Rosh Chodesh Nisan and on Pesach, there's the energy of renewity, but if you tap into it, it will take with you this entire power for the rest of the year. But you have to know how to tap into it. It's like literally a Black Friday. You save the entire year to get something in 90% off. Now, the entire month of Nisan is a very powerful month. Dari says that every day in the first 12 days of the month of Nisan is corresponding to one of the months of the calendar. So that's why you see that in the first 2 weeks of Nisan, first of all, the whole month of Nisan, we don't say Tachanun. The first 12 days of Nisan, every day we read the parasha of the Nasi, what the president brought as a present. Because every day, Aleph Nisan will affect the entire month of Tishrei. Bet Nisan, the month of Cheshvan, and so forth. It's a very powerful 2 weeks. Now, comes one step after another, till it takes me to the 14th day of Nisan, when I prepare myself to the peak of the year is Leil Seder. This is a one time of a year opportunity. There's no such a thing ever again throughout the year. The day, the night of Leil Seder, if I align myself the right way, I have the ability to reach to the highest level of godly revelation that shines on me. What happens on Leil Seder? All 50 gates of purity, these sha'arim, are all shining on my soul in one shot. And I have the ability to sustain it. During the week, during the year, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is just giving a little bit, because my soul will not be a capacity to hold it. On Leil Seder, all I need to do is sit and follow the whatever it says in the Haggadah. I have 50 lights coming from all the gates of purity shining on me in one shot. What happens on that night? Well, now we don't have time to talk about it. It's very long, but you can follow on my website. We're going to probably do some more classes just about it. What happens on the night of Pesach? This is the opportunity that I can tap into, and it will affect my entire year. Besides the fact that on that night I have the ability to go out of any type of limitation that I have. If I have any type of limitation that I want to quit smoking, I want drinking, I want to get rid of Facebook, whatever it is, that's the night that if I prepare myself the right way, that's the night that I will draw the power and I will be able to break the klippah and go out of it. Anything that I'm stuck into, that will be the night that I'm able to break free, the night of freedom. But it has to be a preparation. It has to be from Rosh Chodesh Nisan a preparation, meaning that I have to put myself on the highest and best behavior I can for those 2 weeks. And it's more than 2 weeks, because I need the whole 7 days of Pesach. And that's why physically we're cleaning the house. I mean, we titled the lecture about what is the secret behind Chametz and why do we clean. People go cuckoo with the cleaning. People clean chandeliers that are like 20 feet high. There's no Chametz there. I never saw anybody sitting there here with a piece of bread and throwing the bread to the chandelier. Why are you cleaning the chandelier? Why are you cleaning the light fixtures that are 12 feet high? Nobody's sitting and throwing breadcrumbs over there. There's no chametz over there. So call it spring cleaning, call it whatever you want. You don't have to go cuckoo with the cleaning. People take windows out of their place and there's no chametz on the window. But nevertheless, people go crazy with the cleaning. Why? Because to reach to a point that I'm ready to receive this godly light has to be spotless clean. This is called in Hebrew nekiyut, clean. Even in health, in medicine, I mean, I'm not a great believer into medicine, but I do believe in natural medicine. You want to heal your body, before you even start healing, the body has to go through detox. It has to get rid of all the junk, all the toxins, all the poison. Then you start cleaning, then you start healing. Same thing here. I want to receive this godly light, it has to be 100% clean. Now Chametz, Techa will see exactly what the point of Chametz is. But I want to get to a point that on the night of Leil Seder, I'm going out of my Egypt, out of my Mitzrayim. Needless to say, I want to already now make myself a list. What I define as my Egypt. Maybe I'm smoking, maybe I'm drinking, maybe I'm hooked on some game. I don't even know the names of the games. I don't want to know the name of the games. Some people told me, "Boy, you don't know the Lord of the Flags," and I don't know these names of these games. But nevertheless, I can make myself a list. What is my Mitzrayim? What do I want to break out of? And you know what? My Mitzrayim is not necessarily a cigarette or a cup of coffee or a cup of whiskey. My Mitzrayim can be the fact that I can't control myself. Of course, my Egypt, my Mitzrayim can be severe things. Yeah, no doubt here. It all depends where you're holding. And you can have 20 things that you are, so to say, slave to. But let's say you're above that level. Let's say you don't smoke, you don't have Facebook, you don't have a smartphone, you don't hold that junk, but you're still stuck in Mitzrayim because you can't control yourself. And can't control yourself can be in anger, that you don't control your anger. Somebody says the wrong word and you lose it. That's also Mitzrayim. Today I went to a store, I needed to buy something. The guy there, something didn't work out, like a 3-year-old tantrum. Hitting, throwing, cursing. The guy with a beard, a yarmulke, the whole thing. And I was looking at him, and I was like, wow. That's a very, very deep level of Mitzrayim. That something mechanical didn't work, and the guy lost it. That's another type of limitation. You can't control yourself. Can't control your anger. A little button didn't work, so you lose it. Somebody said the wrong word and you're completely out of control. That's a very severe level of Mitzrayim. So it can be not necessarily with something physical. There's many types of, I'm just giving you now the ideas. You have to develop it yourself. But if I can't control myself in any type of a way, I have a problem. And it can be controlling my urges or controlling anything. Sometimes somebody will hurt you. Let's say you're not reacting when somebody says something to you. If you react, you are stuck in Mitzrayim. If you don't react, it's because you understand that, so what if that person said a word? What am I, a 3-year-old, that the word is hurting me? If I react to a person that tells me something that I don't like, that's another type of limitation, that I don't know how to control myself. I want to be in complete control, that nothing moves me. So what? So you said something against me. Okay, so you hurt my feelings. It didn't hurt me. It didn't bother me. If it's bothering me, I have a problem here. I don't know how to control myself. You have to make an analogy where you don't know how to control yourself. And if you really are true to yourself and to the cause, you might get a long list of things that you don't know how to control yourself. How many times somebody will come and tell you some juicy piece of gossip and you can't control yourself? What did he say? What's going on? Instead of saying, listen, it's not my business, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So, my Yetziat Mitzrayim is to be able to limit myself, but to control myself in a very healthy way. That I know how to, no, this is not for me. That I don't get angry, I don't get upset, I don't get jealous. This is another form of Mitzrayim, that I try to do something, I tried my startup, and then somebody else comes and he does it and he has unbelievable success, and I'm looking at that person and I want to explode from jealousy. How come he did it? I tried it too. How come he has the nice car and I don't? And how come he just got married and I don't? And it's called jealousy. One of the worst sins that one can do is jealousy. Why do you look at somebody else's wife? She's not your wife. She's not yours. Look at your own wife. Why look at somebody else and you desire something that doesn't belong to you? So this is again another way how you don't know how to control yourself. I need to know how to put myself under control in a very healthy way, not that I'm going out of my kli. And this is Yetziat Mitzrayim, that I know how to. And what is really the Yetziat Mitzrayim? Just take the 10 Commandments. What do you think they got after going out of Egypt? They got 10 Commandments. Just go through the 10 Commandments and see how you're controlling yourself. I just gave you 2, the anger and the jealousy. But you have to see how you know how to control yourself. A situation comes, don't lie, don't steal, don't kill, don't commit adultery. The Yetziat Mitzrayim is just controlling these 10 Commandments. Now, how is really do I apply this control system? Is that I'm opposing the I want. We all have an I want. Now, if you're 3-year-old, I can understand, but when you're 30, the I want it's not the right thing to say or to do. To put myself under control is that I control my I want. And try to monitor how many I wants a day do you have. I want a cup of coffee, I want this, I want that. You want to control the I want. No, there's no I want. I want is a state of Mitzrayim. Excuse me. And when comes an I want, objection, that's what you apply. I want to do it right now. No, you can't do it right now. Unless it's what you're supposed to do, or it's something healthy for you, go ahead and do it. But if it's an I want that is irrelevant, then you need to know how to, no. You have a weakness to sweets. This is something that is typical to many people all day long. Chocolates. There's nothing good with it. There's nothing there. Just sugar and junk, and that's no nutrition. There's nothing there. But people have a weakness to it. All day long, the mouth has to move. So control the I want. But I want this piece of chocolate. So what if you want? Control yourself. Now what happens on the night on Leil Seder? The night of Leil Seder, you filling your soul with light. If you cleaned your soul and your body real good, which is a manifestation when you clean the floor, then your soul is ready to receive this godly light that shines on Leil Seder. Such a light is shining, we call it a Leil Shimurim, a night of protection. You know, we don't even say Kriyat Shema L'Mitah on Leil Seder. You just say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That's it. We leave our door open to show that I'm 100% trusting Hashem. Even when I lived in New York for 15 years, the door was open. Most people say, you're crazy in New York to leave a door open? Leave the door open. You trust Hashem. This is a night of protection. It's such a powerful night that I have to take advantage of it. It's not a night to get drunk. It's not a night to sleep in. It's a night to be around the table after the house is perfectly clean and to follow the order of the Seder. That's what's called Leil Seder. There's 15 stops in Leil Seder. Last year I gave a class about it. Just go and look at it online. There are 15 stages, 15 madrigot in the Leil Seder. Kadesh, Ruchatz, Yachatz, Karpas, whatever it is. The point is that Leil Seder is the night, and you don't want to miss it. Now, what happens is, on that night, you're filling your neshama with light. The more you prepare for it, the more light it will take. The more light it will take, the more easier for you to run your entire life for the rest of the year. If you don't take advantage of that, you'll have another year full of struggles and problems and all sorts of issues. And I'm not chas v'shalom here to be the one who's giving bad news. I'm therefore giving you the good news. You have 3 weeks to prepare. You have the opportunity of your lifetime to get ready for that night, to grab the lottery ticket. And that will affect you for the entire year. Any type of limitation that you have, you'll have the ability to fight it. Now, going back again to what we said before in the topic of the entire class, what is that going to do with chametz? What is that going to do with bread? Why do I have to mop the floors? First of all, I told you, in order to fix something, it has to be completely clean. You can't fix something when it's not clean, even if it's something mechanical, physical, whatever it is. Go to a doctor now, before he does the root canal, he has to clean all the decay. So everything has to be first cleaned, then let's fix it. So it has to be the cleanliness. But what we're cleaning for, we're cleaning from chametz. A whole week we can't see chametz. Even a crumb of chametz we can't be in our possession. Because chametz is the root of all poison. Everything in this world is affected by something comes from the world above. And chametz is the root of all the poisons in this world that will affect me. I have to completely uproot it. I have to get rid of it. Now, chametz is what represents this desire for me to take. We call it the ratzon lekabel. Why? Because chametz, it inflates. We actually put in the bread yeast or the sourdough that it will rise and it will grow. And in my world, my chametz is my ego. And the more you feed your ego, the more the ego will grow. The more you give the I want, you're feeding it. The I want, then it's growing and growing and growing, and you want 1, now you want 2. You want 2, now you want 4. You want 4, now you want 10. I need to put this I want on a diet. So specifically the chametz is the power, is the root of all the poisons of everything. That poisons my system to a point that this grows and grows and grows. That's my ego. Chametz is my ego. If I know how to put my ego under control, then I will be the most happiest, most successful person in the world. Moshe Rabbeinu was the most humble person in history, Vaish haya anav mikol, and he reached to the highest levels of prophecies because he was able to reach to the Sha'ar Hanun. He's the only one who reached it. That's why he's buried on Har Nevo. Nevo is Nun, Bo. He reached to the level of Sha'ar Hanun, only with being humble. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have an ego. He had all the reasons in the world to have an ego, but he didn't. The more I humble myself, the more I kill my ego, the more I grow. The more I grow, the better I become. So the chametz represents my ego, because chametz inflates and it grows, and same with my ego. So I need to reach to, first of all, I have to clean my house. My house is my domain. My house is everything. That's why I clean my house. Because the house is my place of existence. It's where I sleep, it's where I eat, it's where my possessions are, my energy is there. Your energy is in your house. Sometimes you walk into somebody's house and you say, I feel the energy. And sometimes the person dies, and after they die, you still feel their energy in the house. My house holds my energy in it. And the second that you leave the house, and the energy, I'm living permanently. So I have to clean my house. I have to clean everything that is my possession. Why? To be ready for the night of Leil Seder. And on the night of Leil Seder, what I need to do is follow the order, or follow the Seder. I'm drawing this godly light onto my soul. That the result will be that after that, I have a whole week, 7 days, that I'm on a spiritual diet, on a physical diet. No ego. No ego in this world. No geava. Now, start clean. Start the whole year clean. The Arizal says, any person that will be cautious with chametz the entire week of Pesach, not to see, not to eat, not to possess anything, guaranteed he's not going to sin for the rest of the year. You know what a guarantee that is? The Arizal tells you you're not going to sin the whole year if you're cautious the whole week of Pesach. It's a pretty big thing, and if the Arizal says that, that's a real guarantee. Now let's see that you can do it the whole week. Now, of course, he's talking about also spiritual chametz, not only physical chametz, meaning my ego, which means that I have to now put myself on the best behavior. Now, every time before I go on these trips, then my kids always want presents. So I come with empty suitcases. My wife goes on Amazon, buys like 5 million things, and then I'm the schlepper. I have to come with suitcases home. And my kids, oh, Abba, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. Oh yeah? So behave nice, I'll buy you. 2 weeks before I go on a trip, they're the best kids ever. Quiet, polite, they don't fight. Abba, you need a massage? Abba, do you want me to clean? So on the best behavior. Why are you behaving so nice? No, because I want you to buy me this, this, and this. So we have to be on our best behavior. And not to fool somebody, not to fool myself, or not to fool Hashem. It's to get myself under control, that till the night of Leil Seder, including the first week of Pesach, anything that takes me out of my control and my attention has to be under control. You have to be on the best behavior you can. You have 2-3 weeks to put yourself on literally on a diet. Anything that you want now, control it. Anything. This is your opportunity. Because you missed the opportunity, you have a whole year of struggles now coming in front of you. So a smart person says, okay, I can summarize it in a week or two, and then hit Leil Seder, and then the whole week I have this power in me that my soul is exploding from godly power, that I have the ability to fight every problem that I have. Then you take advantage of that. So you want to prepare. Now you have 4 days. What are we now? Tuesday. So we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday is Rosh Chodesh. Prepare the right way. Take what we're talking here seriously. Because at the end of the day, if you don't, then you're going to go in circles. I mean, the reason why you came tonight is because you want to change something. The ones who didn't come tonight says, I don't feel like hearing this guy. I already heard him a million times. I'll hear the lecture in a week on the internet. But when a certain person says, no, I want to change something in my life, I want to better my life, I want to refine my life, I want to be more happier, I want to be more sharper, I want to be more holy, I want to be more receptive, I want to be a better person, then I have to apply something. So I have to understand that I have to go out of my state of slavery. If you're smart, you take a piece of paper and you write down a list of all the things that you would want to go out of that slavery. I have a problem with anger, I have a problem with patience, I can't do this, I am reacting real quick to whatever that is, whatever it is. I have a weakness with cookies, I have a weakness with whatever it is. You make a whole list and you be honest, pour your heart to the paper. And you see, how many things I would want to go out of my limitations. I would want to do this and that. When I became observant, I made a list and I was like going through one thing after the other and saying, I don't want to be angry anymore, I don't want to get upset. You see me get upset? Some people tell me, how are you so calm? Why are you calm? There's no reason in the world why I should become upset. A word that a person will tell me should get me upset? Or somebody's behavior should cause me to be not comfortable or calm? That I'm shooting myself in my own leg. This is the ultimate Mitzrayim. Then I let somebody else affect me. Can you imagine of the level? Not too long ago, we had a beautiful Shabbat meal. Baruch Hashem, we have the zchut to host dozens of people in our Shabbat meals, and 2 guys started fighting. And one of them got so upset. One of them got so upset. First of all, it ruined the whole atmosphere in the meal. But nevertheless, when I approached him, I told him, why he's so upset? So he says, because he said this and this and that. And I told him, you let another person's stupidity affect you? You are the fool. If you are allowing somebody else's behavior to affect you to a point that you get upset, I'm sorry to tell you, you are the fool. So I need to recognize everything in my life that limits me. If I'm quick to judge, that's a state of limitation. If I'm very impatient, if I'm very quick to get angry, why should I do anything because of another person? This is another thing. Sometimes people have this. Another problem is that they feel that they have to satisfy somebody else, and if that person doesn't think good about them, that causes them a lot of hardship. Why do you need somebody else to approve you? You don't need anybody to approve you. As long as you're following the path of truth, why do you need somebody else to approve of what you're doing? And people think that they need to satisfy another person. No, I don't need to satisfy anybody. I need to satisfy God. So the point is that you have to be honest, you have to be true to yourself, and you write everything that you don't like in yourself. When I became observant, I became observant on Pesach. I mean, it didn't happen right away, it took a long time, but the change happened on Pesach. That's when I realized this is my opportunity. A once in a lifetime opportunity to go out of my tum'ah, out of my impurity, to get rid of all this junk. And I was humble enough to look at myself and say, I hate this, this I don't want, this I shouldn't do. Why should I be angry? Why should I be jealous? Why should I be upset? And you start working on it, one step after the other. And you bring yourself to a place of purity, that nothing bothers you, and you're healthy, and you're happy, and you're satisfied, and you're fulfilled, and there's no void, there's no emptiness. And needless to say, nothing negative in you. Anger and jealousy and animosity and depression and sadness, who needs that? So I have an opportunity, once in a lifetime opportunity. I shouldn't say once in a lifetime, it's once in a year opportunity. But why should I miss it? I have a 99% coupon, like a Black Friday, to really go out of my state of limitation, to become a much better person, a much happier person, a much better father, a much better husband, whatever it is. I have to understand that there's also people around me. When I have an issue with anger, everybody's suffering because of my issue. And if I have an issue with, I don't know what, depression, everybody around me is suffering. Can't be selfish. But nevertheless, I have to prepare. So first of all, and most important, if we want to summarize it, prepare that in 3 days is Rosh Chodesh. And on that day, you put yourself on the best behavior. And you make sure you pray 3 times a day, and you have 3 meals, and you wash for bread, and you say Birkat Hamazon, and you don't go to sleep, you learn Torah, and you go completely out of your way. And you monitor every little thing that you do. And then comes 14 days till Pesach, every day. You have to really be on your best behavior. You make yourself a list of the things that you want to work on, and you hold yourself. Comes a lie, stop the lie. Comes an anger, stop it. You have to literally put an effort. If you don't put the effort, nothing's going to happen. Nobody's going to come and save you out of your own misery. Hashem says, you put an effort, I'll do the rest. Our sages say, if you try coming to get help, Hashem will help you. You want to become impure, Hashem will help you be impure. So Hashem says, listen, prove to me, show me 2-3 weeks that you're on your best behavior. I'll help you. Then you hit the peak of the time. Clean the Chametz, you burn the Chametz, comes the Seder. So when I'm cleaning the floor, is just don't have in your mind that you're cleaning the floor and you feel like a cleaning lady. You have to have in your mind that you're cleaning your reality, your existence. You're getting rid of all the junk. So the same way that you're cleaning your bookshelves and your drawers and your floor and whatever, everybody has to clean. Then the intention behind it is I have to clean myself. So you do 1 hour on the floor cleaning the floor, half an hour writing on a piece of paper, I'm judgmental, I'm quick to anger, I'm impatient, I can't stand this, I'm jealous of that, whatever it is. I can't stand the fact that I'm on Facebook for 5 hours. I want to be 5 minutes. I'm specifically talking about that because it's things that people don't understand that. People check their email like 17 times an hour. What are you, launching missiles? You need to check your email every 2 minutes? Every ding, you jump on the phone? What are you, Trump's assistant? I check my emails once a day. And not even that. If I don't feel like it, then the next day I'll check. Nothing is urgent. What do you think we had before emails? We didn't have smartphones 20 years ago. Everything worked. The whole world functioned. So this is anything that puts me into some type of a place that it's controlling me, that's a big red flag here. So B'ezrat Hashem, we have to focus on what we need to do, because at the end of the day, the one who gets the most benefit out of it is you. You're going to be a much happier person. You're going to be a much more satisfied person, a much more successful person. You're not going to see bad in things. You'll see just the good in everything. You'll grow spiritually. You'll affect other people. Needless to say, that's what we want. At the end of the day, I want this pleasure. Everybody wants pleasure. There's nothing wrong with this pleasure, but the pleasure has to be real and coming from the right place and not coming from chocolates and drinks or whatever it is. It has to come from holiness, from Kedusha. And you know what's the advantage of that? It stays. It sustains. Spiritual pleasure never leaves. Physical pleasure is gone with the wind. Whatever it is. It wears off and it fades out. And then you need another fix and another one and another one. But spiritual pleasure stays. It doesn't go. Then you grow from one level to another level to another level. You're out of the darkness. You see things clear. You think clear. Everything is better. So we have a lot of work to do. and you want to be smart and take an action. You don't want to go out of this door tonight and say, okay, nice information, very good, here, let me take a CD and that's it. Say, okay, how am I really applying it in my life? How am I changing my life? Because when I change my life, I'm changing everybody's lives around me. And even if you don't want to be so generous and change other people's life, then change your own life. You'll be a much better person. Everything that you want to achieve, you'll be able to achieve. So you want to take notes. If you didn't take notes, then the video will be online probably tomorrow. Go and look at it another 17 times till you get the point. Till you become a much more refined person. You become a better father, a better husband, a better wife, whatever it is. Become a better Jew. B'ezrat Hashem, when you do that, besides the fact that you will become a much better person, you're making the world a much better place. You know, when you have your own personal redemption, you're starting affecting the whole world to have a general redemption. We need as many players here to bring the Geulah, to bring the redemption. So B'ezrat Hashem, all that's left is to wish you a very happy and kosher Pesach, and a lot of good luck in your journey. And to remember that the cleaning has to be physical, no doubt. The cleaning has to be spiritual. If you take the time to really clean your system, B'ezrat Hashem, you do the job right, Hashem will bless you with a kosher and happy Pesach. We say kosher and happy. Kosher means clean, spiritually clean, and that you gain happiness. At the end of the day, we just want to be happy. We want to be happy, we want to be content, we want to be satisfied, and I want to have a good and sweet and healthy life. B'ezrat Hashem, Hashem should bless you with great success with everything that you do. You should have a happy and kosher Pesach. B'ezrat Hashem should have a year of freedom, true freedom, and that Hashem should grant you cherut amiti, that you break out of all your limitations, break out of your slavery and become a free individual. And needless to say, when you're a free individual, then you're adding light into the world, and B'ezrat Hashem, we should be a free nation and go everybody back to Eretz Israel. Should merit to see with our own eyes the real freedom with the coming of Mashiach very soon.